Welcome to another Thursday Thought. So we've had quite a bit of experience over the last couple of years using AGVs on production lines. And although at face value, using an AGV on a production line does pose some significant advantages, which we'll talk through just now, there are some things that must be considered before you actually want to adopt an AGV on your actual production line. And I think I want to make a distinction between logistics AGVs, so those are AGVs that would move around and actually bring parts to the production line, versus AGVs that are actually moving your product from station to station on the production line. To demonstrate this, I've got a little mock-up of a typical production line, and I want to first use the illustration of a conveyor system, which is this black part, and these are pallets that would run on the conveyor system, obviously moving the part from station to station. The typical configuration of a station is you have a working station where you have an operator, and typically you have a buffer station behind the working station with a pallet typically ready to move into that station. The reason why this is so important is because once this operation is done and this pallet leaves the station, the time it takes to move from the buffer to the working station is part of the cycle time. If you didn't have the buffer, you'd have to wait for the next working station to move all this way, and that eats into the cycle time of your station. So this is the typical setup where you have a working station and a buffer, and the main reason why we want to have a buffer is so that as soon as this pallet moves out, it's a reduced time to get this pallet into station and at the end of the day, reducing the takt time of your production line. However, when you want to adopt AGVs, so let's just move these out of the way and put some AGVs in. So there's a couple of challenges. Number one is AGVs are expensive, and so typically customers wouldn't be buying an AGV and a buffer AGV behind almost every single station. It's not every single station, but most stations would have a sort of buffer AGV. So you have this cost problem. You now have to say double the amount of AGVs that you would need based on the number of working stations. So typically customers don't use or buy extra AGVs unless there's a critical station. So that leaves us with the 3 AGVs and the 3 working stations. And as I illustrated with the pallet, the moment this process is done, this AGV can move away. And this now poses 2 problems. The first problem is this AGV is dependent on this operator and can only leave the station when this operator is finished. And the second problem is this AGV has to move all the way to the station, and it requires all of this cycle time, and that eats into the takt time of your station. So that's the first problem. But let's assume a customer is happy to have 2 AGVs in every single working station. The next problem that you face is that the moment this AGV moves out of the station, because the operator is standing in this space, this AGV cannot move at its full pace for safety reasons, obviously. So it actually has to move at a very slow speed, and that speed is actually significantly slower than the speed of the pallet, and it's purely for safety reasons, as you can imagine. So that's the sort of second set of challenges around adopting, or the challenges of adopting an AGV on a production line. So in summary, we have to consider the cost, we have to consider the takt time when you adopt AGVs versus pallets on a conveyor, and the third thing is obviously there's a safety requirement. And what we recommend to our customers, it really depends on the cycle time. So if you have a highly complex product at a cycle time of, let's say, above 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes, AGVs can make sense because you can allow the 20 seconds or 15 to 20 seconds for the AGV to move from this station to that station, and it doesn't really have a significant impact. However, if you have a sub 1 minute cycle time production line, that 20 seconds becomes significant and it doesn't make sense, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. I'd love to hear your thoughts on your experiences with adopting AGVs on production lines as a replacement for pallets on a conveyor. Here's another Thursday Thought.